Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Checked Before. I know last week I told you we will never talk about Season 3. We are tonight. This episode, we're talking about all of the original series, the entire series wrap-up here on It's All Been Checked Before. I know some of you are like, why did I listen to the other episodes? But I'm glad you did. Anyway, speaking of other things to listen to get you through, Stark Story Snacks. They're little things. Kind of little things. I don't know if at some point she may compile them all, but love fiction but have trouble finding your time to get through a book. That's me. Samantha Stark has you covered. Stark Story Snacks are micro stories, most only a page or two long, in anthology format. It'll take a couple minutes and you'll whet, W-H-E-T, your reading appetite. Go check that out at IABD Presents.com, IABDpresents.com. And while you're there, while you're on the internet, it's real easy when you're on one site. You can open another one. I've seen that on Google Chrome. Go to patreon.com/IABD and help support us. Help keep that website going, that sweet IABDpresents.com website. And ideally, we're going to produce more story snacks, just like we're going to produce a lot more seasons of this show. Speaking of things that we've produced a couple seasons of, G.O.D. is my BFF. That's right. Kevin was on the brink of suicide when he met a man named Joe. Is Joe an angel, a demon, something else entirely? You can only find out at IABDpresents.com by checking out G.O.D. is my BFF. Now you're going to find out what we thought of the original series of Star Trek. It's our total wrap-up, and this is the last time we'll ever talk about it on It's All Been Checked Before.
Welcome out to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. This is not the final episode of It's All Been Trekked Before, but it is our final episode that's mainly about the original series.
That's right.
So we made sure we had your key players here.
This is Steven.
And Keith.
And Jimmy-Jerome. And unfortunately, no women, to tell us how sexist and wrong we are.
Yep.
Because we're definitely going to be sexist and wrong, but not on purpose, and not too much, I hope.
It's almost a theme of the series itself, isn't it?
So, original series. We're going to do some rankings, but just some initial things, initial impressions, something that stood out to you that you want to mention. Not your final thoughts, but...
Right. I was thinking today just about, to touch on Season 3 one more time, how, we kind of trudged our way through the end.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And we wanted to get through it. On the other hand, I'm super sad to say goodbye to the series. But also now I feel like I'm more inclined to be sitting at home, and if Colleen isn't around, just throw on Mirror Mirror or whatever and have it on. And like I said, I probably hadn't watched a lot of these in a long time. So it's been great to see him. And, I'm obviously more familiar with them, as is, I think, a lot of the universe.
I was excited to finally see them all, because there are some I haven't seen. But I will say, everyone I hadn't seen was in Season 3, because I had watched the first 2 seasons straight. And I'd seen at least half of Season 3. I can't think of a single, great one that I hadn't seen.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that... Had we not done this, I don't know that I would have been missing that much.
I think...
But I'm still glad I saw them all.
Based on the list of ones you had seen, I think that totally makes sense.
I think for the purpose of what you're doing, or what we're doing here, is I think it is important you did see all of them.
Well, I had read extensively about the episodes I hadn't seen, so it's not like I was unfamiliar with the plot and story. But, it's nice to be able to say I've seen
certain things I think that can't defy description. or defy verbalization.
Oh my god. So I mentioned we're going to be sexist. Let's start with something sexist. We did the Women of Star Trek rankings. And to be fair, we also did the Men of Star Trek. We let them. Yes. And at least once, Steven picked a man.
I did.
Kirk and Janice Lester's body.
Yeah, I did.
I was actually tempted to pick a man once during
which one?
This season. The Way to Eden. The purple-haired guy before he turned around and revealed he was a man.
Oh.
Hey.
I mean, I'm not immune to the charms of man.
Sure.
If we had a Nestor Carbonell show up or something and I got lost in his eyes, just talking about how great his eyes were the other night. And...
Wait, which one? I remember... wasn't that on one of the recordings for one of the episodes?
Nestor Carbonell?
Yeah.
I don't remember. He was in Lost, and now he's in Midnight Texas. And I can now attest in real life, his eyes are as dreamy as they are on television. But I'm saying, I'm not immune to the charms of men, but I did stick with women in these rankings. Let's, for ranking the woman of the series, I'm going to give you your top 3.
Okay.
3 of top from each season.
That might help.
And then you're going to have to rank them.
Okay.
Would you like to go first, Steven?
Sure.
You seem anxious.
Yeah, I can't wait to see who I picked the first season.
So, Season 1, you had Vina from the start of the episode.
Oh, yeah.
Season 2.
She still gets me.
You had Roberta Lincoln.
Oh, man.
I know, right? And season 3, you had the Romulan commander.
Ah,
That's a tough one. I don't envy you.
what's the line from Spider-Man?
With great power comes great responsibility.
This is the reason only fools become heroes.
Oh,
I don't remember
Make
that.
your choice, Spider-Man.
man, you have 3 strong.
Vena's iconic. Terry Garr is still great. Actually, for that matter, Joanne Linville's still around. She's still great.
Yeah.
The Romulan commander. I'm gonna stick with Vena, Susan Oliver. I mean,
At the start of the episode.
What
Yeah.
happened after the start of the episode? I don't know.
before she
She
goes
had
back,
many different
goes
looks
back
in
to
the
her
episode.
form. Yeah.
So I think we made him pick a look because there were many different looks. So he liked shipwreck survivor Vena.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. I love her as a Ryan Slave Girl too.
Well, yes.
What was going on in the episode?
That's
cage?
menagerie.
Oh,
Or-
okay,
or
that
yeah,
one.
cage
All
or
right,
menagerie,
yes,
yeah.
that I see what you're saying.
Keith, you want to go next?
Might as well.
Your first season, you had Tamula.
I know where we're going with
I
this.
see. I don't
I
remember.
know where this is going.
Oh.
I know where it's going.
too.
I can't wait.
This is where you hope it's going.
No, Steven and I know what you're going to pick. Do you
Right.
remember her at all?
Not in the least.
Let
It's
me
just-
look her up.
Was
so you
she
can
Operation
do a
not Operation Annihilate.
She was in A Taste of Armageddon, played by actress Miko Mayama.
Oh yeah.
Mayama?
Taste of Armageddon, was that when they were doing like the War Games thing or the
Yeah. That was you report to the
a very minor character in that I met.
Wait, was
But
that-
you kept her for a long time.
that was Taste of Armageddon.
It was probably not really a lot going on for me in that series, that season.
Steven and I would actually. Steven and I kept Tamula almost the exact same length.
Well, there you go.
I kept her the same length. Steven exited an episode early with Edith Keeler because both of us kept Tamula over Edith, but not Steven. He chose Edith. But yeah, we kept her a long time too. I think you're right. I think that was a just.
Do you remember your season 2?
Not really. God, that's.
Your season 3 was Vana. Your season 2 was Merged Headford.
of course, yes.
Which, by the end of the season, you started giving her accessories. Merged Headford and Flavius's collar.
Right.
Merged Headford and Isis's collar. Or Flavius's shorts.
Yeah,
and
those
Isis's
were great.
collar. Oh man, Keith.
I think that it just wouldn't be appropriate if I didn't pick her at this point. Honestly, it's just.
Keith,
I'm tempted not to simply because of like the
we are
fanfare
giving you
surrounding
an
it, but-
out. I think you should consider these 3 individuals and choose between them fairly.
My actual thought I'm remembering now one of the somewhat comical reasons I chose somebody earlier in season 3 that actually might be valid.
Oh.
The one who reminded me of Marianne, somewhat jokingly, is one of the better episodes of the season.
Is there a truth in beauty?
No, it's
For the world is hollow and I have touched the sky.
no, the other one, the one where they had the godlike people because of what they were eating, and the
Plato's stepchildren?
yes.
Where you had chosen
Barbara Babcock? Is it the Barbara
I guess that
Babcock
could be.
character?
Whoever it was who kept being delighted by all the
She
torture
enjoyed,
happening.
yeah, that was
Yes.
her, Barbara Babcock. Yeah, she was my number 2 for season 3. I think.
Well, we're still on me
Yes.
deciding. Anyway,
Go for
what was Barbara Babcock's her character's name?
Falana.
Alana,
Yeah.
Who I think we all had for a time.
Right.
So why are you saying you chose her comically? We all thought she was attractive. And
Some of my reasoning for it was comical in the sense
okay.
of the coincidental resemblances to Marianne, at least temperamentally, I would say, were kind of funny.
Well, I remember when I might have said on that podcast was that the more, as a kid, I was like, she's a terrible person. But as an adult, I'm like, she's really turning me on. She's this torture. And so,
I do like terrible women. They do turn me on.
One of the other running jokes from It's All Been Trek Before. Well, it's a serious thing that you're saying, but whenever you mention like the time of like, well, we're gonna get to that in like 15 years. It's like, oh my god, it's so. I don't want to use the word demoralizing, but it is jarring, I would say.
So it took us a little over 2 years to watch all 3 seasons and record because we started this September, I want to say,
Yeah.
2016.
yeah.
So a little over 2 years to 3 years. Now, granted, I don't think there's any other 3 seasons of Star Trek that have as many episodes as we got through in
Right.
the original series. But there's still another 28 seasons of Star Trek and counting.
28. Oh my god, how is it? Wow. Just,
And counting.
like even thinking about that, just yeah. It's,
And the fact that Discovery's great, but the fact that they're now going to be running 3 shows at once
Yeah.
is daunting to me.
What do you mean?
Besides Discovery, they're doing the Patrick Stewart
Oh, they're
series.
now going to be. I thought you said they're not going to be.
No,
running
the
for
Patrick Stewart series and then the animated Below Deck series. It's daunting to me when I think of... And by the time we get there, they'll have done how many other Star Treks? So
None, I'm sure. And it'll died off by then.
Yeah, right. I mean, when we started this...
It'll run its course.
When we started this, Discovery hadn't premiered yet.
Yeah.
We were coming off of 10 years of very little Star Trek. So it didn't seem like, we could jump into it.
That's funny.
Now it's like, oh my god. And I watched Discovery. I'm like, I'm not going to wait 15 years to watch Discovery. I watch Discovery now, but...
Well, and for me, once we get past Star Trek 4, my knowledge
dries up.
Not quite off a cliff, because Next Gen, I've seen episodes and I know everyone on it. If I haven't seen entire episodes, I've seen parts of half the episodes. But then after that, it's like off a cliff.
I am so excited for you on Deep Space Nine.
I am too. I'm looking forward to all that.
I really think, especially when they get deep in the original series references, you'll love it.
Well, and for, again, I keep going back to when I was 13, but it's almost similar to the superhero renaissance now. It's like 13-year-old me and everybody else at that age, it was the geeks, and we weren't popular. There wasn't geek culture then. Geek culture was like subculture. So it was like, oh, Star Trek fans were a bunch of weirdos that had conventions dressed up like Klingons.
I mean, even when I was growing up,
And just Klingons, nothing else.
it was
That's
that.
true too.
That.
Yeah, but especially then,
Right.
you couldn't. If you would have told me like, oh yeah, there's gonna be this many more Star Trek things and it's gonna be huge, I'm like, get the hell out of here. And same with, oh, there's gonna be a superhero movie coming out every 6 months. Like, really? What, on TV?
Now it's every 2
TV
months.
movie? Yeah, I would be like, get out of here.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, when I was little, Next Gen was like the most popular show on TV. But people still, at school, made me feel like nobody else watched Star Trek.
Well,
So,
that's a product of environment in certain cases as
Yes.
well. I mean,
that's true too. Look at the places we grew up.
yeah.
so for me, just when I was a little kid, I mean, like toddler little, I remember like in our first apartment, my father watching
Just close.
original series reruns and syndication. This would have been like late 70s or so. Mm-hmm. And eventually, when Next Gen came on, it was sort of like that. It was sort of like indoctrinated into the family as a show to watch, essentially. So I probably watched most of that like as it aired, and maybe the first couple of seasons of Deep Space Nine through various means, and then Voyager, pretty much all of that. So
Yeah. And we got a little bit off topic. We can keep this, but we have not gotten a definitive answer from Keith.
Oh, that's
really, didn't we?
I didn't think so.
Oh, I
Did you go with Merch Tedford? Or did you want to choose Vana?
Oh, that's right. I guess I had a lot of conversations in my head.
Yeah.
I wasn't actually saying it. If we're going certainly just by looks, probably Vana.
Okay.
But going by just the entire package of who would I have a good time?
We need an entire package answer.
Yeah, who would I have a good time with?
Yeah.
I'd probably be closer to Falana. Was that what her name was?
Oh,
from
Falana.
Falana wasn't one
yeah.
of your choices, though. You didn't choose
from season
Merch
3.
Tedford?
From season 3.
Season 3, you chose Vana.
That's-
Yeah,
that was-
you only get your top for each season.
That was a recency bias thing, though.
Then you should have chose Falana for season 3.
I had time to think about it now. That's the
Well,
problem.
do you want to? I think we will. I don't know if Steven will allow. I'm inclined to allow you to change your season 3 at this point. If that's who you want to choose.
When I
for
really thought about it, understood. Yes, seriously, that is.
Okay. So Keith is changing season 3 to Falana.
Yeah.
And then choosing her for the entire series.
Yes.
That's a good choice.
And so Steven and I were both wrong. He was going for Merch Tedford.
Honestly, I might have if you hadn't done all the fanfare.
Still one of my
around it and
favorite things
everything.
of the podcast.
No, I had a lot of fun with that one. I guess it's a close second, of course, is going to be the I hated it. It's number 5 running joke, but
Your connection to Merch Tedford will never be dead as long as we remember it. And now I've combined Seinfeld and Star Trek.
I have to make a decision.
Oh yeah.
Indeed.
My choices are number 1 from
Oh
season
yeah.
1.
oh, I thought that was a joke. I was like,
Yeah, I took me a second.
number
to-
1 colon dot. Wait, what?
Yeoman Tankris from
Oh,
season 2.
I like the Human Tankers.
Or Droxine from season 3. Let's see.
Which episode was Tankers? Is she Wolf in the Fold?
Yes, Wolf from the Fold.
Yeah, I liked her.
I'm looking her up right now.
I liked her
Oh,
no
yeah.
nonsense style.
I think I'm gonna go with Tankris.
All right.
I do think choosing our number one from each season may not have given us who our best three were.
Right.
I feel like some seasons, for instance, Keith choosing Vana initially and then switching to Falana. If you were being honest, if you were picking three women from the whole series, would Vana and Falana both be in your top three? You think?
Possibly, but then again, it's my recollection.
Recency.
Recency bias and my recollection of just everything is so sim at this point. I can't imagine what's
I
going to be
think
like.
I like my top three, but
I think if I was ranking these, I think Roberta Lincoln would definitely knock out Droxine for my top.
Has it really been 2 years? Has it been like? Yeah, it's just that doesn't seem like it.
I think season 2. I'd have two choice. I'd give up my season 3 choice for a second for season 2. Yeah. Roberta Lincoln should be up there.
Yeah.
And sadly, she lost to Yeoman Tancrest. But in the final ranking, she's going to lose to Yeoman Tancrest as well.
I wish we could include like the video of your cat just then sitting like right at the table level, kind of looking back and forth as you were talking, but now it's already gone.
So best episodes. All right, let's do worst episodes of the series first.
I think I know what your picks are going to be.
I'm just going to take the bottom 4.
Okay.
From each. That gives us 12 to work with.
Okay.
We need to pick...
let's
do the bottom 3 then. Let's take the bottom 3 from each season and pick the bottom 3 overall.
I think as a general rule, anything with a time period like yesterday or tomorrow or today or something is probably going to be a bad episode.
It's in there.
There's 2 in this 9 that have tomorrow in them. No yesterdays. Season 1, Charlie X, The Alternative Factor, Tomorrow is Yesterday.
Charlie X was down at the bottom?
I know, we talked about it. I know.
What?
I know.
It was so bad.
What? I mean...
I think in our recollection, we
Tomorrow
don't hate
is Yesterday
it
was the worst. There were 2 others that were worse.
I was with...
I hated Charlie X.
Yeah.
Hated it so much. Season 2, Return to Tomorrow, The Immunity Syndrome, and Catspaw. Season 3, And the Children Shall Lead, Spock's Brain, Lights of Zatar.
Wow.
So you guys think we should go ahead and take Charlie X out, should not be in the bottom 3 of the series?
I know that won't be in my bottom 3.
Certainly not.
It's gone. Eliminating things is good.
There's a lot of good, terrible other options here.
Honestly, I want to eliminate all of season 2 from this list. Immunity Syndrome, Return to Tomorrow, and Catspaw. I think Catspaw is better than the bottom.
Did we rank Immunity Syndrome above Catspaw?
Barely.
What is that one?
Catspaw?
Yeah.
The witches.
Immunity Syndrome.
Immunity Syndrome is they go through the organism, right?
Yes.
Yeah. That
What? They're like flying through the thing?
Yeah, and then I can't remember how they kill it. But.
I mean, I'm looking just at Catspaw, and I'm like, it's better than Alternative Factor, Tomorrow's Yesterday, and the Children Shall Lead, Spock's Brain, Lights of Zatar. I want to kind of wipe out all of season 2 from this bottom.
There's some...
Immunity Syndrome, I just remember being really dull, but yeah. And the Children Shall Lead, I'm all in favor of keeping around. I mean, keeping in for the bottom 3.
Do you agree, though, that we could wipe season 2, or is there an argument that Catspaw or Immunity Syndrome should end up in our bottom 3 overall?
Well, those are just so... Again, it's so hard because of recency bias and my dim recollection.
Sure.
Some of it is I watched Catspaw on my own, and that one just... I don't remember anything about it except there being like a giant cat at some point.
Well, I thought it was interesting, and this goes to the whole series, like the ones that like coming in, I was like, oh, I remembered it this way, and I was like, oh, okay, I changed it a little bit, and then over time it still kind of slid back to my original, mixed slightly with the new.
I mean, I want to talk best aliens of the series here in a second, and I think Catspaw has one of the best aliens of the series. It's up there with Savage Curtain.
Oh, yeah, the rock guy. Another not good episode with a great creature.
No, we talked about the rock guy. Yeah, it reminded us of the little tiny aliens at the end of Catspaw that we really liked. That looked almost like Muppets.
The castle,
almost like...
So,
Return to Tomorrow is terrible, and so is Immunity Syndrome is terribly boring, but
I don't think they belong in the bottom.
I can go with that.
Series.
All right, so we've got it down to 5.
Yeah, if Keith agrees.
Which one are you taking out of the running?
We want to take out the season 2 bottom 3. We don't think anything from season 2
Again, it's hard for me to argue that anyway, so I can't say that I feel strongly enough to stop you from doing that.
Well, you talk about recency bias.
Yeah, it's so hard.
The only thing from recent to remember is Lights of Zatar, because Spock's Brain and the Children Shall Lead were both at the very beginning of season 3. Episodes 1 and 4, respectively. So, we're wiping season 2. We've got The Alternative Factor, Tomorrow is Yesterday, and the Children Shall Lead, Spock's Brain, Lights of Zatar. What would you say is the best of those 5?
So the thing is, Spock's Brain, as you mentioned on a couple of occasions, especially in your Lights of Zatar review, is that Spock's Brain was entertainingly bad. It was.
That's why, honestly, of these 5, I would have put in the Children Shall Lead as number 5 and Spock's Brain as number 4.
And Children Shall Lead was also
Yeah.
that was.
I think of these 5, those are the 2 best ones.
That led to an episode that was going back and listening to us talking about it even.
Yeah.
Children Shall Lead, Jessica, and the fist pump thing,
Sure.
which just you can't see me doing it at the mic right now, but
No, I agree.
that was the kid episodes are rough anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Remember we mentioned that that there, there was I mentioned privately that. The one child actor, the girl who was sort of like got this being, she was the Nikki Smith of the cast. Could do the Tears in Command. There was something to be salvaged in that.
Okay, well, this is the easy one. The best is going to be much harder. So let's.
All right.
Yeah, it's the question of, is it better to be dull or terrible?
Sure. I think Lights of Zatar
Is
has
both?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you that. As I said before, it started off with some promise, but I guess ended up being very unremarkable. So I will say that
I'd rather be terrible than dull.
Yeah.
Dull for me, and I think that's why I want to.
You may have talked me into Tomorrow's Yesterday being terrible again. I mean, I know we ranked it
was
last
so
anyway,
full
right?
models.
And
So full, but that one is not dull. Where the alternative factor and Lights of Zatar are dull. I do think. Can we agree? And the Children Shall Lead and Spock's Brain are 5 and 4.
I would put the Children Shall Lead in the bottom 3 still.
Okay, well,
I will hold it. But if you guys both.
So you're doing.
I mean, it's above Spock's Brain in the rankings.
so
right
you're,
now.
you're doing
I know.
you're doing like reverse ranking. So 5 and
Yes.
4 or the fifth
Fifth worst.
best.
Yeah. I think at this point it would be hard to rank in the Children Shall Lead below Spock's Brain, simply because it ended above in our season 3 rankings.
Yeah,
I think we can all
I still
agree
hate
that
both of them.
all 5 of these are bad.
that's fair. Although in the Children Shall Lead, I don't want to watch it.
That's fine. We're not going to revisit. We're not going to get to the end and be like, let's rewatch.
Well, we're gonna make you do it.
If I do, I'm going to do a minute-by-minute podcast and the Children Shall Lead.
second by second.
Wow. And alternative factor, and I know we talked about it when we did it. Me and my brother and sister had more affection for that episode, and it definitely did not deserve it, especially upon rewatching. It's one that has like potential and never.
Alternative Factor
achieves
was
it.
one of the earliest episodes I watched, and I
Yeah.
hated it then and I hate it now. That one I did not need to rewatch.
For me, we didn't like it, but I think I love. We're probably going to debate
What
these
are-
harder than the best.
I disagree. I'm looking at the best. I've got 15 up here, and I was like, oh, I should wipe it to the bottom 9 and just take
Yeah.
some. I'm like, I don't think I can.
It's going to be tough.
I don't think I can.
I just glanced through the
Oh,
entire
God,
list. I'm
it's-
like, this is going to be tough.
It's so tough. I think the bad ones are the easy ones. For me, I would honestly rank them 5th worst to worst. And the Children Shall Lead, Spock's Brain, The Alternative Factor, Tomorrow's Yesterday, Lights of Zatar. And I go back and forth on those bottom 2. Maybe it's recency bias, but Lights of Zatar was just the only one that I was like, I got to turn this off.
I can go with Lights of Zatar and Tomorrow's Yesterday. I think.
Lights of Zatar number 1 bad?
Yeah.
Tomorrow 2? Or
Yeah, I can go with those in
or
the top
reverse.
2 slots.
Well, which one? What order do we want them in? Which one is
God.
the worst episode of Star Trek? We gotta pick that. Is it Tomorrow's Yesterday or Lights of Zatar?
I think Tomorrow's Yesterday had a lot of more stuff going on as far as at least they're trying to go through all these different set changes or whatever, and stuff is happening. They're on location.
See, I was almost going to say the opposite. You've convinced me that it's a lazy episode because they go back in time, but they botch it all.
What, go on. What do you mean?
It's just like,
Lazy
Interestingly,
writing or-
Tomorrow and Lights are both episode 18 of their seasons.
huh.
18, that's where you get lazy and you're not to the finale yet.
But Lights of Zatar had all the magic or whatever. We got in the non-science.
I don't remember. I've already blocked it out.
So you eliminated the recency bias by just blocking it.
Block it out. I mean, Lights of Zatar to me and Alternative Factor are comparable because they're both so boring. But, and that's the thing, like, I feel like Tomorrow's Yesterday might be the worst episode of the series, and I feel like I only want to put Lights of Zatar lower because of recency. Because it's boring, and the Alternative Factor is boring, but Tomorrow's Yesterday is just bad on every level.
Jeez.
Yeah, I've changed my mind. I think Tomorrow's Yesterday is the worst episode of the series.
I think I've finally come around and I agree with you.
Keith?
The main problem with that is just the idea of it being really just a. This is kind of something from my final thoughts that are kind of.
We'll get to that in a
looming there.
minute, yeah.
But it's just the idea of it should be something other than let's just we can go we're in the 60s, let's just go to the 60s and do this thing and kind of
Yep.
shoehorn something in about a starship in it. So
So tomorrow's yesterday, worst episode of the series.
Yeah.
Followed very closely by Lights of Zatar. After that, the alternative factor.
Yeah, I would go into the Children Shall Lead. But
I know. And my problem with that is...
It's entertainingly bad.
My problem with that is, besides the fact that I just put the boring ones at the bottom, except for tomorrow's yesterday, is And the Children Shall Lead is ranked above Spock's Brain for season 3.
I know, but I think at the time I wanted to rank below. So
I know.
So I'm saying I'm saying consistent as well.
Steven's like, I don't care that it was above, rank it lower. If it was just you making this list,
No, I understand.
No. If it is, no, I'm asking.
Oh.
If it was just you making this list, does that beat Tomorrow's Yesterday as the worst episode of the series?
I think you've convinced me that Tomorrow's Yesterday is the worst.
Okay,
Yeah.
Victory.
I have conceded that. I think.
But you would rank In the Children Shall Lead as second worst,
Yeah.
below Alternative and Lights.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You have both done excellent lawyering in this case. I just don't really have a... Yeah.
So Keith I'm going to leave this to Keith. Keith, do you
What?
believe... because we definitely disagree. Do you
Okay.
believe In the Children Shall Lead should be like fifth worst, where I'm putting it? Or do you believe it should be below Alternative Factor and Lights of Zatar, which were just pure boredom? Because I want to give Steven the chance. If Keith agrees with him, I will back off and say I don't care that it's above Spock's Brain, the other ranking. I definitely think Spock's Brain belongs above Alternative Factor, Lights of Zatar, and Tomorrow's Yesterday. It's better than those. You disagree with that?
So
I don't think so. I mean, I feel like I should, but I don't.
Spock's Brain, you'd rather watch Spock's Brain than Alternative Factor and
I
Lights
think
of
so.
Zatar? Okay.
Even though it's not good.
It's not, but...
This is a different list, which would be too hard to put together. But
Yeah.
at this point, I'm like, what would be? Because we kind of talked about Spock's Brain and The Children Shall Lead as being bad watchable.
Sure.
What are a couple of the other just not good episodes, but so stupid that we watch them? For me, I feel like Savage Curtain falls in there because it's just so stupid.
It's stupid, but it doesn't belong in the bottom of the series.
No, but if we're gonna watch, I'm just saying if we're just different list.
Yeah.
Bad. Okay. We're gonna watch 5 episodes of terrible Star Trek that are still kind of entertaining.
Catspaw.
Oh, Catspaw. Yeah,
Catspaw
sure.
out there.
Yeah.
Spock's Brain.
And for me, And the Children Shall Lead because it is stupid.
But you
it's
put that in
entertaining.
your entertaining, you wouldn't watch it?
Entertaining if I have. Well,
See, Savage Garden, we ranked 18 out of 24. Keith, we need a decision.
So what am I deciding exactly?
And the Children Shall Lead, does it belong... Is it better than the boring episodes, Lights of Zatar, Alternative Factor, or worse?
Yeah, better.
That's better. Okay. Sorry, Steven. And the Children Shall Lead is ranked 5th worst. Followed by Spock's Brain, The Alternative Factor, Lights of Zatar, and our worst episode of Star Trek, Tomorrow is Yesterday.
12-year-old me right now is so mad at you too.
I gave you a chance. I will say it's interesting to me that we have 3 season 3 episodes and 2 season 1 in this ranking.
Yeah.
We eliminated season 2, which is fair.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a second. But the season 1 episodes right now are ranked worst and 3rd worst.
Huh.
So we're saying the lows of season 1 are worse than the lows of season 3. That's interesting. That's an unexpected result. That my hypothesis before starting this would not have found.
Well,
I also did averages of my scores for my top 70 when I was 12 or whatever.
Yes.
And when you average it out, season 3 ends up being the average is far
Oh,
less.
sure,
So,
because season 1 had great episodes.
Yeah.
And season 3
there aren't the highs. There aren't as many highs. Yeah.
Season 1 had much better highs.
Yeah.
But apparently, much lower lows. Not much lower, a little bit lower lows.
Yeah.
because they're low in different ways.
Before we rank the best episode, let's just rank the seasons because that'll be real easy.
Yeah.
Best season.
1, 2, 3? Is it just the?
No.
I think
No, you're wrong.
I think we went 2, 1, 3.
2, 1 3.
Yeah.
Best
that seems to be the
season
trend.
Yeah.
Best of season 2,
Yeah.
worst of season 3.
In fact, I guess season 2 was so good that when we were doing the season 3 season, I included some of the great episodes in there. Or tried to.
Yeah. Season 2's best, though. That was consistent. Season 1 had some really great highs, and we're about to argue whether the best episode of the series should come from... Here's the thing. When I'm looking at the best episode of the series, while season 2 overall as a season is the best season consistently, I think the best episode of the series is going to come from season 1.
I do too. I'm pretty sure.
I think season 1 had the highest highs and the lowest lows. Season 2 was consistently good. Season 3 was consistently mediocre.
Yes.
That is my summation.
In summation, yeah, that's accurate.
So,
I'll allow it.
okay, this is where it gets tough. Best episodes of the series.
All right. And we're doing 15 or 9?
We're gonna do 5, but
Okay.
I'm trying to. I think I'm gonna go ahead and eliminate the number 5s. It's painful to me because of Doomsday Machine's a number 5, and I love that episode. I love that episode, but it's gone. It's gone.
I'm surprised that's number 5.
I just need to pull up the list.
Season
I
2
have
was strong.
a device
It
in front of
was.
me that can
Wow.
list it for me.
So, season 1, top was City on the Edge of Forever, followed by The Cage, Aaron and Mercy, Where No Man's Gone Before.
Wow.
I think we might be able to drop those at the bottom 2, but certainly City and Cage.
Yeah.
Season 2, Journey to Babel, Mirror Mirror, Trouble Tribbles, Amok Time. Given that list, are you okay with going ahead and dropping Aaron and Mercy and Where No Man's Gone Before?
So Where No Man
We're only going to make 5.
I know.
So we've already listed 6.
Where No Man Has Gone Before, is that episode 1 in season 1?
That's the second pilot.
Second pilot.
Uh,
I don't think Aaron and Mercy can compete with Journey to Babel, Mirror Mirror, Trouble Tribbles, Amok Time.
yeah, Aaron and Mercy, and we've talked about it on that, obviously, on that episode, but yeah, it's such a good episode, and I think we forget how great it is, but I think, yeah.
Okay.
If Where No Man Has Gone Before,
I love
you
it.
know I'm going to fight. I kind of feel like I have to fight for it, but
It's number 4 in season 1, so
yeah.
I don't think it's...
Yeah.
But I think we can drop those 2, so we've got the 2 from season 1, City and Cage, followed by
Those are
4 from
definite.
season 2, Journey, Mirror Mirror, Trouble Tribbles, Amok Time. And then for season 3, Is There Truth No Beauty, Inner Presence in It, For the World Is Hollow, and Plato's Stepchildren.
Yeah, I almost think we can lose all the season 3 too.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think we're
Those are all
I think
good
we're debating
episodes.
the 2 from season 1 and the 4 from season 2.
Yeah.
Keith?
I don't disagree yet. I'm trying to bring up the episode list so I can
Yeah,
some of these.
Yeah, I mean,
It's fair.
Where No Man Has Gone Before, and I mentioned it when we ranked it all through season 1.
Yeah.
I definitely...
It's a great episode.
It wasn't recency bias. It was definitely my old man bias. Nostalgic bias.
It's a great episode.
Yeah, and
I'm
it
not-
still looks great, and
Not disagree.
I still love it. But God, it is a murderer's row. And yeah, The Cage and City on the Edge.
Oh my God.
I can't... Did we rate The Cage and the Menagerie? We rated those separately.
Yes.
Because the
Menagerie
Menagerie,
didn't make the-
we decided the trappings weren't... And it was kind of a retread in a way, but...
Menagerie came in at number 6. For
Okay, it
season
was still
1.
up there.
Still up.
Still good, great episode.
Yes. So,
Yeah, because in my pre-Cage world, the Menagerie was always right up there. Yeah.
so I think, and this is your chance to disagree, but I think City on the Edge of Forever and The Cage are still 1 and 2.
I do too.
I don't think they beat Journey to Babel and Mirror Mirror. I mean, I do
Really?
think they beat
Oh,
Journey to
okay.
Babel
I was
and
like,
Mirror Mirror.
whoa. Okay.
No.
Okay, yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
City, and if we're doing that, I don't think we need to argue it again. I think City stays 1, Cage stays 2.
I'm with you.
Keith?
I don't know if I would have liked it as much if without the framing of you two saying it's such a great
Right,
episode.
right.
Honestly,
Yeah.
the city. It's one of the things that made me think about it recently, though, which was funny, was the whatever that episode was in season 3 where they were the time portals.
Oh, all yesterday.
All
The
Yesterday's,
slow
yes.
motion through the portal.
Well, yeah, they kept hitting the music sting every time.
Uh-huh.
Every time someone went through the portal, they hit the city on the edge of forever theme, like
Yeah.
we're teleporting through time. Which I thought was funny. But apart from that,
I'll know when I'm going through time when I hear that.
So if we put City and Cage at 1 and 2,
Hmm.
then that kind of grandfathers in that we just take the top 3 from season 2 and make them 3, 4, 5, which
What-
will be Journey to Babel, Mirror Mirror, Trouble Tribbles.
And that's what I mean.
And then Amok Time
Again, I love Amok
unfortunately
Time,
drops
but
off of the top 5.
I would go with those next 3 too.
I mean, Trouble Tribbles deserves to be in the top 5,
I think so,
but
too.
I think 5's the right place for it.
It is weird as I was scrolling through the list. I'm like, oh, what?
Keith,
oh, Trouble
Keith
Tribbles.
sounds like he wants to argue.
perhaps I don't know. I mean, it's always tough with the when you have an intersection of an episode that's both like universally iconic. Like I think Tribbles is probably that's gonna be like arguably one of the most famous, maybe
Yeah.
if not the most
Sure.
famous.
Yeah.
Where Tribbles doesn't quite reach the tops for me is it's pure fun, which is great, but it doesn't have that heavier story. Whereas all of these above it have a heavier story.
Where'd you have Doomsday Machine? Where did that
Number
get mentioned?
5 of season 2.
No, I'm looking at it. I'm surprised it's that high. Honestly, when I'm looking at it.
Oh, I
right now.
love Doomsday Machine.
Yeah.
So good.
Mostly because of the Commodore being that guy. There's like the
Commodore Decker,
yeah.
which we'll revisit when we get to the motion picture here.
Yeah.
Because his son is in the motion
I
picture.
think Commodore Decker, it's probably still Colleen's man of the Star Trek the original series.
If I was picking a man, I think Commodore Decker would be mine.
I was reading a couple things today about how most people think his guest turn was the best
Oh, it's fantastic.
ever, and it's so good. His commitment is.
Who would your man of Star Trek be? Because I'm with Colleen. I'm choosing Decker.
Wyndham's a good one.
We know Keith wants the purple hair guy.
Oh my god.
Unless you want to speak up and correct us.
Yeah.
If I'm basing it the same way I base most of my women choices, it'd be who was the Centurion, the guy with the shorts?
And from season 3, the
Brendan Circus's one. Him or Apollo?
You know, I think it's good that we have a man of Star Trek as well as a woman. I think that makes sense. Slightly
if it was my non-sexual whatever, it'd probably be Zephram Cochrane.
Well, now you got to pick one or the other.
It'll be the shorts.
Okay, Keith, do you want to debate our top? Because we need to move on.
what were those 3 that you had for season 2?
Journey to Babel, Mirror. Journey to Babel is the Spock's dad and mom.
Oh, that was
Murder
interesting.
mystery.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Then Mirror Universe, obviously.
Right.
And then Trouble Tribbles. We have as 3, 4, 5. With The Cage at number 2 and City at number 1.
That is tough.
Steven and I are in agreement on this list, but I want to give you the chance to talk us out of it.
I mean, it's hard to argue with that, honestly. That sounds about right. It's just like that was a very ambitious attempt to get like all the different wacky looking aliens in there. And
Yep.
I think it succeeded. You needed more episodes like that, honestly. And that's kind of where they started going later on when they had the budget and effects.
Savage Curtain and stuff.
Is there truth and beauty?
Next generation.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They were able to get into this stuff. Like, let's concentrate on this race of aliens and really flesh it out. So,
I'm gonna say I thought we'd have much more trouble with the top because there's so many good ones, but it just kind of fell into place. When we looked at it. I would like to nominate for Best Aliens the creatures from Catspaw and the rock creature from Savage Curtain.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Who was infuriating, but great.
Any other aliens you think we should mention for Best
Does the
Aliens?
Guardian of Forever count as a creature?
I wouldn't think so.
No.
But I was tossing out Best Aliens. What best do you want to...
What was that? Is it called the Zorn? That creature that the Kirk was fighting?
Arena, yeah.
The Gorn?
Gorn,
yeah.
yes.
From Arena? Yeah, I liked in the remastered effects that they let us blink. It bothered me that it was just a mask.
That's another, I think, famous kind of looking scene of Kirk fighting this
I'll
thing.
go with best sex scene that we didn't get to see, which and I know we mentioned in the episode.
Was it one of the ones with a clock just
wink of the eye when we cut back to Kirk and the girl, and she's brushing her hair.
Can't remember her name, huh?
Miss Eye.
She's brushing her hair and he's putting his boots on. But but they got that by the censors. That's one of my favorites.
With a wink.
Great. Yeah,
of
an eye.
Keith, you got oh god. Keith, do you have a best of something you want to mention?
I've never already mentioned my best running jokes, so that's pretty much it.
My favorite running joke from this podcast is Merch Hedford. It just is.
I'm glad you didn't seem to think so at the time.
No, I was not amused. And as the further we got into season 2, the less amused I was. Not at all amused. But after the break of a season and some distance, I now really appreciate it. I'm glad you stuck to your guns. As infuriating as it was.
like something specific about a person or a aspect. Although one of the things in my closing, I don't know if we can get to that.
Not quite. One more question before that.
I don't know.
Unless somebody else has other things they want to discuss. I've got one more question before we surmise. So if you got other things you want to toss in, now's a good time.
No favorite.
So the other question I have is, what is your biggest regret, or do you think was the most wasted potential of the series? What do you wish they developed further? So my biggest regret of the series is no character development for Sulu Chekhov, Uhura Chapel, Scotty Rand, those side characters. I really wish they better develop the crew. Even somebody like Riley and stuff. Like, there was potential to really develop these characters, and instead they kept it on Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. Who I love, but I wish they'd done better with the supporting characters. That's my biggest wasted element of the series. And I don't know if I'd think that without the movies, but because I love these characters so much, watching the original series, it makes me sad.
I just think it's a product of the times, zeitgeist, or whatever the word would be for that sort of thing.
I'm sure it is.
It's just like everything else that they try to do, which I appreciate the attempts in theory, it's saddening to think about going back and especially I didn't really have the perspective that you had as far as knowing what's going on behind the scenes and like hearing those kinds of anecdotes. It's just infuriating. It's frustrating, the idea of having to deal with, and people still have to deal with that sort of thing today. Certainly, with talking to the studio and trying to convince them that this is what we should be doing. Yeah. This is what people really think. This is what they need to hear, and then trying to play it safe, essentially. Whatever's happening, or not really wanting to understand, thinking they don't need to understand the source material to know what's going on.
I mean, as much as I'd like to see the other 7 years of missions between the original series and the movie, not counting the animated, which I think is going to fill in at least one of those years, but as much as I'd like to see that, I would have rather had character development for the 3 seasons we got than those extra seasons.
Yeah, I was going to say I would like to see more. I was just going to stop at Ahura, but
less sexual assault. I'd like less sexual assault.
That would be nice.
And I think maybe, and I guess along those same lines, for me, a lot of what we talked about was, especially when they missed, was great concepts, didn't execute it.
Yeah.
And I think they were so tied to, part of the, again, at the same time, part of the thing I loved about it was Roddenberry's whole idea of Horatio Hornblower and a Western kind of thing. And, obviously I love Kirk, he's my captain.
Sisko's mine.
I wish it would have been cooler to do more leaning into the sci-fi aspects, and maybe that would have been more, whether it was bottle episodes or
fewer
deviation episodes.
Fewer parallel Earths.
Yeah. Oh, yes. God, yes. Yeah. Yeah. I think there's especially at the time and now too, but in the breadth of sci-fi short stories, because Twilight Zone clearly showed how you could do that. Just have some kind of world that didn't, and there was feel like those could have been there were ways to explore that while still making it still Star Trek.
Well, you mentioned Uhura feeling wasted, especially, and I think that as we've talked through this has helped me drive that character of Tokolati in Universe Journey. That she's not just communications. Now she's going to be the first officer, and it's driving that development of. We've got this really smart character that everybody underestimates. Yeah. Let's see what could happen if we actually let her do her thing.
It really is just that it's everything can be kind of chalked up again to the time period it was in, what kinds of things they can work with. Really just being able to explore the episodes that were actually pure sci-fi, and that's kind of tying into something I'm going to say here in a bit. But just the feeling that the guys that were sort of getting it right were probably kind of... They didn't really get enough space to work, or they were just kind of like, okay, whatever, shut up, nerd, we want this.
Roddenberry screwed up with his rewrites.
Do you think that's what... I mean, do you think that's what it was?
I think it's part of it. I think it's a contributing factor.
But you know what I'm saying? It's just like there were certain story concepts that seemed like they could have gone somewhere if it hadn't been meddled with to a certain direction. They weren't limited by the other agendas, of the social agendas of having to get across these other things like... Or, I mean, having to appease the people they're working for,
And we talked about this a lot. If this was made now, like if HBO or Netflix or somebody gave them 10 episode, commitment or whatever, or even like the Orville, obviously is a parallel. And I think the hard part now is you can't do a Starship show even remotely. I mean, everyone assumed the Orville is Star Trek.
Yeah, sure.
Seth MacFarlane's take on Star Trek.
Yeah, they leaned into it, and that's fine. I think they got. Some
we certainly have as well with Universe Journey.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You might as well just do it and then
Star Trek's that memorable.
And I guess that's the amazing thing is this stupid. I call it stupid, but I love it. It's one of my favorites, obviously. But this little 3-year-old show that lasted 3 years, and again, I mentioned this earlier, I think, or maybe I mentioned in the last episode, but.
Well, it's interesting.
In the 70s, I was so sad. I was like, how could this have happened? That this show got canceled in the 60s. Well, idiots. And now I'm like, it's probably for the best, even though, in reality, it's probably for the best, even though part of me still was like, oh, man.
I do think...
I just wanted... but it goes to your point, which is, I wanted to see more adventures of all these people, not just with the Kirk Spock McCoy episodes we did in season 3. I wanted to see everything and even more worlds and all this stuff. And I think... that kind of got filled in with novels and fanzines and stuff for
Which
Star Trek folks.
I devoured. I'm sure you did too.
Yeah. I wish I still had them. I'd go back and read them. I think I give them some way. But again, I guess we're like, I mean, we have a bevy of riches, and the new Star Trek movies have been cool.
I like them less and less the more I watch Discovery, but we'll get to this.
Yeah, I agree with you on that too.
I will say
I agree with you on that too.
The one flaw of Discovery that's occurring to me right now, though, as we talk about this, is they have a lot of bridge crew they do not develop on Discovery. They're just there to say a couple lines.
That reminded me of something that you were talking about with Barbara Barnett.
Yeah.
And I had to look up the
executive editor of Blog Critics Magazine.
BlogCritics.org.
Yes. Author of The Apothecary's Curse and Chasing Zebras, an unauthorized guide to House of D.
First of all, I wanted to mention earlier for the wrap up purpose is that, like the Charlie X thing, I would agree with her on that. Certainly, that it shouldn't have been as low as it was, but whatever. I can certainly see arguments for that either way. But also Zachary Quinto.
Yeah,
I agree with her on that as well. I remember I could tell when you were talking to her, you're like, he's okay. I think he was really good, actually. I mean, Nimoy's Nimoy, but if you're going to do
Now we're going to have a third actor going to compare it to, so we'll see what Peck does. Ethan Peck.
I have enjoyed the newer movies, and even like the Next Generation movies and everything. Like it's just you see what they could do if they had this budget and the effects and technology to work with. And it's nice.
So Keith, you go first. Wrap up.
The thing I was also hinting at really is just that I think what made the good episodes good was when they got the pure sci-fi right, when they were going to when they're actually going to the science of things. If they can stick to for lack of a better term, like the scientific method. Here's this thing that's going on, something that is foreign to people like the audience, that they wouldn't know what's going on either, and being able to walk through that and go, how would you deal with this situation? What do you do to piece it out and then maybe get to a point where you have some sort of quandary to deal with then? Sometimes immoral, whatever. What would you do? It's fun getting those. That's what sci-fi should be. And the worst, of course, is when they just certainly have recycled ideas or scripts that they just slap Star Trek onto. Like, let's do a Western episode. Let's do another Western episode. Let's do like another period piece here, and just have an excuse to do that and force it to do that. And that's it for me at the moment. I need maybe look a couple things up, but you can just.
I came in on the original series. I think I mentioned before the motion picture was my first exposure to Star Trek. And then I probably got into Next Gen along with the original films before I got to go back and watch original series episodes. So I did kind of do it a little backwards. Original series is not my favorite series. Neither is Next Gen, honestly. Some of my favorite moments of Star Trek come from this original series. And those the original cast movies are the best Star Trek movies, in my opinion. And you get to see the framework laid for that in this. And, I mean, it was really interesting to go back and really look at the original series in the way we did.
Yeah.
I mean, even stuff I liked, I got to see it in a new light when we sit here and discuss it. So, I mean, I've really enjoyed this experience. I'm looking forward to the future series. But, I think the original series deserves even more credit than most of us give it on a regular basis. Yeah. And I'm glad, to go through it.
It was important. Next Gen was important in similar ways.
Yeah.
It's how we got to the other things we, it's,
absolutely.
We go back and appreciate that.
There's no Discovery without Next Gen, and there's no Next Gen without original. It all leads to one another. I mean, if DS9 and Voyager didn't exist, it probably wouldn't have affected the franchise much. But original and Next Gen really set the tone, set the base.
Yeah, going back to the thing we were saying before about Orville and even Universe Journey.
Sure.
I think it works when people can really lean into their influences and then kind of take it somewhere else then. You're ready to kind of just admit it and like, here we are, this is what's going on.
I mean, it's all been done before, so why not do it? Obviously I'm inspired by Star Trek. It's been a big influence in my life. It was my favorite franchise growing up, and there's a reason when I started Universe Journey, I chose to start with the originals as a jumping off point instead of one of the later ones.
Yeah.
But I can see how we're kind of
Although I've been so excited to get to the Deep Space Nine era.
Going down the path of kind of jumping to some other things. You've been splitting it off, so that's I really like what's happening.
In our own unique way. We don't want to just copy.
Right.
Steven, you should get the final word. Let's do it.
Just talking about, we were just talking about Shatner and Nimoy. Just when I first got into this in the 70s, Shatner and Nimoy were two guys who were like, I want to get away from these characters. Mm-hmm. And eventually, I mean, now I think...
What do you mean by that?
Well, Nimoy wrote a book called I Am Not Spock.
Yeah, they felt...
Because he was so tired of being associated.
They felt like they couldn't escape those characters and get cast and do new things.
Oh, from their perspective, not yours.
Yeah.
You're not saying that...
Sure, yeah. Oh,
the Next Generation cast felt like that.
And I think, over time, their characters became more iconic, but also those two guys became iconic and appreciated more as actors and entertainers and everything. I think that's part of the reason it shines through. And we talked about this, and it's something we talk about in our own theater community and just acting in general, I think, is no matter what the material is, you commit to it. And these guys, I know when they first got cast, were like, it was some weird sci-fi show, and I'm wearing Spock ear, I'm wearing these ears and everything. But they committed to it as they would any other acting endeavor. And I think that's part of the reason it endures. Roddenberry, for all his faults with rewriting the scripts or whatever, he did have a vision, obviously, and a great imagination. He had good people. He got good people around him, Gene L. Kuhn, a lot of those guys. And when we've talked about some of the original ideas for some of the episodes and where it ended up getting, I think that's kind of some of those, you bring in a Harlan Ellison or something like that, they've got this great sci-fi script, and then they've got to turn it into a Star Trek script. And that was network TV then. I mean, even now, to some extent, stuff's going to get mushed up. But I got into Star Trek in the mid-'70s, and I think I mentioned earlier, around the time Star Wars came out, Close Encounters, and sci-fi started blowing up. And even before then, people were seeing little green men everywhere and all that kind of stuff. Then E.T. and on and on and on. I kind of mush them all together. And in my mind, it's part of a nostalgia thing, but I always think of 70s sci-fi for me has a special place, and I think it's cooler in a lot of ways in that it envisions a future that's also kind of primitive. I mean, Star Wars was a long time ago, galaxy far, far away, but it was all these broken down spaceships, where Star Trek was the opposite. It was in the future, but it was still from a 70s perspective.
Star Trek's one of the few optimistic views of the future.
Yeah, and which I think also gives it that ability to deal with these tough issues or try to deal with these tough issues.
Well, they tried to be optimistic from their...
Compared to other sci-fi.
Yes.
Other than Deep Space Nine.
Not like non-dystopian.
Yeah.
Getting to go back and look at these, I mean, some of it was definitely like going back to being a kid and seeing them the first time. It was fun to also appreciate it and feel like, you know what, a lot of these hold up and are still really good. Mm-hmm. And it was a lot of fun. Even some of the bad times or not so good parts. And finding some new things that either I just didn't notice as a 10 or 11-year-old or just had forgotten about. And so, it's been a lot of fun. I'm very excited about moving forward because it's going to be new territory.
Are we boldly going where so many
have gone before? Yeah.
I'm remembering those last few episodes that I've listened to, the ones that have been published already. Audience, whatever. Yeah. You two going, we're so ready for the animated series. Yeah. You still had like maybe 4 episodes to go when you were saying these things too, which is kind of funny. But.
Yeah, and where for Jimmy-Jerome, Star Trek: The Motion Picture was the jump off. For me, it was like that showed up just as I was really hitting my Star Trek peak, and it was just like, this is the greatest thing ever. And we were talking earlier. Back then, I had nobody to talk to about this because nobody was insane as me about it. For one thing, even if there were people into Star Trek, they weren't as crazy about it as me. Sure. So as a 12-year-old, I was reading all these books and things written by adults and this is the greatest thing. And I want to go to Star Trek conventions. My dad was like, are you crazy? But yeah, I remember trying to talk my dad into taking me to Star Trek conventions. He's like, no. And I think if it was closer, or I think the nearest one was probably Indianapolis or something. But and if we were rich or whatever, I'd be like, yeah, let's go.
Well,
he either had fun. But
that begs another question: was your dad into Star Trek, or was he into sci-fi even?
He liked to bust my balls about it, but not in a you're an idiot. He was just kind of he just wanted to crack jokes about it, and it was probably some of the stuff we're cracking jokes about now. And I was like, shut up! I'm watching. This is serious. Whereas
he's watching it with you. But it's not like. Why are you playing football or anything like that?
My family was willing to give me that 1 hour a week when it was on in syndication. I would get to watch it, and then the rest of the time, if it was on 11 o'clock, they'd let me watch it then. They'd all be in bed, but yeah, they would give me that hour to be able to go back and talk about all these episodes. Has been a lot of fun Kirk's not only my captain, he's probably one of my favorite characters of all time. I know there's, flaws and all. And I'll always love Shatner, too. Flaws and all. I do not try to emulate his acting style most of the time, but...
there are some good points when he gets it right.
And when he does, I think he is great. And like I said, I think a lot of that's overblown. I think a lot of that comes from season 3. People doing bad impersonations of impersonations. So this was a fun visit to go back, and I still love this show. I still think it's great. I can see why people still have great affection for it, and people dress up as Klingons and all that stuff and everything. And again, I think it goes back to it is a positive vision.
Sure.
At the end of the day, and it's fun.
Well, we'll be back in 6 weeks. Aside from maybe a special episode or 2 that we're recording.
Maybe some Jodie Foster.
So yeah, some little Freaky Friday. But until then...
It's not Taxi Driver?
No. But until then, live long and prosper. It's All Been Done presents...
Who's Got the Time?